Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
This is a story that has been circulating, Cordell, and circulating around one guy, and that is Nick Saban, and whether or not Saban's going to leave or not. Now, his wife has come out weeks ago and said they're very happy. He's not going anywhere. But with this news today, it really opens the door up for Saban to have to address this, and certainly whether or not he's planning on staying at Alabama the long term. I do not think Nick Saban is leaving, but I know that is the name that has been circulated. To join us to talk about this a little bit more, he has been doing a lot of Longhorn games on the Longhorn Network. You listen to him right here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Former UGA quarterback David Greene, who's a studio host for the Longhorn Network. And I know you've seen this team quite a bit this year, David. What are your initial thoughts of this news that Mack Brown is going to step down?
Well, first of all, probably doesn't shock a lot of people, but it really did kind of shock me a little bit just because I've been around a program, been around Coach Brown, and I really feel like his situation is different than a lot of coaches, where it seems like, this day and time, coaches are on a short leash, and it seems like coaches are, could get fired in the middle of the season. Well, Mack's a guy that he's won Big 12 championships. He's won a national championship. He'll probably go down as a Hall of Fame coach. There's a lot of power in Austin, Texas, and there's a lot of support behind him. Obviously, on a national scale, there was a huge uproar this year, especially the way they started off the year. The loss to BYU, giving up, 500 and something yards rushing, was tough. And you hate, because Mack Brown, he's an old school coach. He's not a guy that likes to fire, coaches in the middle of the season. But he obviously got to a situation where he knew he had to do something because the ship was sinking pretty fast there early in the season. But I thought he did a great job of getting the program turned around. Here it was last weekend. They had a chance to go to the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, they were playing for the Big 12 championship against Baylor. Their defense played great offensively. They really, really struggled. But I think all in all, it does shock me when DeLoss Dodds, the AD that had been there forever, stepped down. I kind of got the feeling, well, maybe this is, they're starting to turn the page. But it did shock me a little bit, though, because I'm telling you, Coach Brown seemed as hungry to win games as any coach that you'll ever see. He did not seem like a coach that was throwing in a towel or just saying, well, I just got 2 more weeks before I go on a vacation. He was hungry, and you could tell he was hungry to go out there and win games.
David Greene, our guest here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. I agree with you when he dismissed defensive coordinator Manny Diaz in the second game of the season against BYU after that game, and then he brought in Greg Robinson, who had been with the program. He was trying to make a change for the better, but what people may or may not know is that he had just changed his staff 2 years ago with new offensive coordinators and bringing in a guy, Manny Diaz, who had been at Mississippi State, to try to revitalize the program, and it didn't work. And then I'll be honest with you, David, you lose to Baylor by 20 points with the chance, as you mentioned, to go to the Fiesta Bowl. That didn't help Mack Brown's situation there.
No, it definitely didn't. And, one thing about Texas, they have athletes. I mean, they get the pick of the crop. I mean, they have 3 running backs at Texas that could all start on just about any team in the country. Jonathan Gray, who got hurt, I mean, he was unbelievable. Malcolm Brown, who's their number 2 back, could start for just about any team. And Joe Bergeron, who hardly ever sees the field, would probably start on any team in the SEC. It's unbelievable the amount of talent they have. And that's one thing about there. You can't lose. You got all the money to back you up. But one thing you got to do is you got to win. And as you know, some programs, they go through cycles, and he had his years where they were winning championships. And after Colt McCoy left, they hit that lull, and they couldn't get things turned around. They sputtered around for 3-4 years. And, I mean, they won 9 games last year, but, winning 9 games at Texas isn't good enough. I mean, you've got to win Big 12 championships. You've got to be in the national championship race year in and year out if you want to stay the head coach there. So I think Mack's definitely a coach that'll go down. I mean, I think he'll be a Hall of Fame type coach if you just look at his track record. He's a class act. He's a good man. And so I think he definitely went out the right way. Of course, if the season would have ended the way it started, it would have been a nightmare. But they had a pretty good run through the Big 12. They played great. And like you said, here they were at the last game of the season, had a chance to win the Big 12 championship, playing the Fiesta Bowl, fell a little short, but probably not the way he wanted it to end, but it certainly could have been a lot worse if you looked at the situation they were in, 2.5 months ago.
Dave, Mack Brown has truly done a phenomenal job with taking this Texas Longhorns institution and putting it on the map when it comes to football and everything that he's done for the community there. Now, the big people that you've mentioned with power and the decision makers, what type of head coach do you see coming in to take over for Mack Brown moving forward?
Yeah, of course, Nick Saban's one that, obviously it's gotten a lot of attention. I think somebody like him, they, coming up with the money is not going to be the issue. It is a big-time job. I know, Art Briles at Baylor, I think he just got a big extension at Baylor. But, see, I think somebody like him who's got that kind of system offensively, because they can recruit talent. You just imagine if you got all the talents you could pull in Texas and you get a guy like Art Briles running the offense. He's doing it at Baylor. I think somebody like him, but it's going to have to be somebody that can handle the spotlight. That is a big-time job. It's the most powerful program in the country. And I thought Mack, that was one thing. He embraced it. It's got its own ESPN, network. So, on Mondays, you're having to go over to the network and talk about the games and do shows. It's a whole different element than really any other job in America. So it's going to have to be somebody that's got a big name, like a Nick Saban, that's got the clout. Like I said, they've got the money that they can pay. The money is not the issue.
Dave, no one else is listening. This is just me and you talking. I have to ask you a real, secretive question. Do you think Nick Saban's going to have that chance to be the head coach there at Texas?
Well, I think he's definitely got the shot. Now, I don't think he'll do it.
Don't say it too loud. People are listening. This is between me and you.
Yeah, people are actually listening.
Yes, they are.
Probably a lot of Bama fans on there as well. But I don't think he's going to do it. I really don't. I think at this point in Coach Saban's career, I think the next place he goes, and I think he said it, is Lake Burton, to his lake house. I just don't see him trying to tackle a whole other beast. He may want to. I don't know. Only he knows that answer. I don't know if he's got the fire in his belly to go on and tackle a whole other deal. I just don't think at this point he's going to be that guy.
David, we appreciate the time. You can listen to David Greene, Bleeding Red and Black, up at Famous Joe's Sports Grill in Beaufort this Thursday. David Greene is a studio host for the Longhorn Network, which is why he's given us his input on this Texas situation. If you're just joining us talking about Mack Brown, reports are he's going to step down, which opens up the door for the guy that Cordell and David were just talking about, which is Nick Saban. I don't start rumors. I just talk about them once they're out. I will tell you this. Nick Saban today, Cordell, is recruiting in the Midwest. Tomorrow, do you know where he's recruiting?
I'm listening.
Texas. This is Game Time on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. We are happy to talk with David Greene on the WadeFord.com hotline. David, thanks so much. We'll listen to you on Thursday. Bleeding Red and Black.
Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.